Hey, good morning. Welcome to SAINTCON 2022. It feels like 2099 or something for many of us. Don't mind me. I'm still nervous. I don't like getting up in large social situations. But welcome. We're so happy that you're here. I'm going to go through a real quick slide deck to kick us off because I want to give as much time to our keynote speakers as absolutely possible today because we've got some incredible keynotes. So this is the slide to welcome you. So you've now been welcomed. Oh, hey, and you press the down button, not the side button, by the way. Okay, I just want to mention that this conference is a production of the Utah Saint organization. It's a 501c6 nonprofit that runs this conference and a community and other things. If you've not heard of the Utah Saint organization before, there's probably somebody sitting next to you that has, so maybe ask them. And if you can't find anybody that knows anything about this very cool organization, come find me at some point and I'll explain it to you. But this conference is made possible by that incredible organization and a lot of dedication of time from a lot of different people, which we'll talk about here in a minute. I've got just a couple of questions for you in the audience. What we always like to see is how many of you are here attending SAINTCON for the very first time? Raise your hands. There should be about 300 of you, which is incredible. And then what I wanted to also ask before I moved on is how many of you are from outside of the state of Utah now? Okay, there's a pretty good contingent of non-Utah folks. And I would say, non-Idaho. We kind of adopt the Idaho folks in. So maybe I should have clarified that. But we welcome. And, our conference is growing. It's kind of crazy when you just kind of put this labor of love together and it just continues to grow and develop and become better and bigger and crazier. But we've got so many cool things planned for this year. It seemed like the year for COVID, when we did the virtual thing, man, that was such a letdown for all of us that plan and do things. And last year was kind of our get back to things, and we did the whole in real life theme. But this year, it has been taken up another notch in a lot of different ways. But I want to just mention that growth is our biggest challenge. So we have gone from about 1,200 people attending SAINTCON to this year, over 1,500 people are attending SAINTCON. So there's a lot more going on. There are more communities to explore this year than we've ever had before. And so there's a couple of them up on the screen here. There's more contests to explore. You'll also notice here a badge component to this year, which we'll talk about here in just a moment. There are more events going on this year than we've had before. And it's going to be incredible. We're hoping that you explore some of these different contests, communities, and events and really enrich your experience, because if you're just sitting in ballrooms listening to talks, that's great because there's some great content there because we've got more presenters and more content than we've ever had before. But make sure that you don't just live your life in a ballroom and listening to talks. Unless that's what you came to hear. I'm not trying to sway you away from, what you're here to learn and do. We also have more keynotes this year than we've ever had. We're stacking 3 in between right now and lunch. And so at the end, Deviant, I don't know if you're around, but you might have an angry crowd if it's getting too close to lunch. But he says it's going to run long. But hey, it's going to be worth it. So more keynotes than ever before and more you. 1,500 people, it's an amazing development. I don't know how we continue to sustain this growth. Somebody's on comms. Sorry. What I wanted to maybe just warn you all for next year is that when we open up registration, it is currently our plan to only sell 1,500 tickets to SAINTCON for the next couple of years. Part of the reason for that is we are all volunteers. There's nobody, including myself or anybody else, that takes a single dime for running this event. And so with volunteer effort, every single person that is a committee member, a staff member, or a volunteer are volunteering their time and energy and efforts and equipment and everything else to make this conference happen. And so there's a limit to what you can expect a bunch of volunteers to do, and we feel like we've kind of begun to reach it. Now, we might fluctuate these numbers in the future a little bit, but I just wanted to kind of let you know that register early, register often for next year. But it takes an army. And so I do want to recognize that there's over 100 people attending the conference this year that are in the volunteer category to help make everything happen, from AV, yeah, from AV to the contests, and the communities, and all of the events and everything else. It takes an army. There are 40-plus staff members, and the differentiation between volunteer and staff is these are the people that are actually pulling together the content. These are the people running the communities, running the contests, doing all that planning. And it takes months of planning to do some of these things. And so please give them a hand as well for their content contribution. And because we love them so much, I put these really crazy figures together over the years. This is the conference planning committee, and I want to just really quickly share that planning for this conference starts in March, and it really starts ramping up as early as May every single year. And so these are the folks that are spending many hours weekly working on all of the different things and the planning and the logistics that go into this. And so this is our conference planning committee. We'll thank them at the closing. You don't have to give them a round of applause unless you want to. That's cool. This year, we also have more sponsors than we've ever had before. I think we're up to 18 or 19, and they're unwieldy too, in a way. We'd really love to have sponsors here. And the best way of articulating this is sponsors are why we have nice things. It's why we can put up great projection. It's why we can have really cool conference badges. It's why we can have, what's that? And it's part of the reason why whenever you walk around the conference and you pick a soda can out of one of those coolers that you don't have to pay for, it's part of the reason why that's possible too. And so we would like to thank our sponsors for being part of our committee or part of our planning and our conference this year. Thank you. And as you might or might not know, we have an Uber sponsor slot that we only award one every single year. And this year, Valcom was awarded or elected to be our Uber sponsor. And this is a different level of engagement. They're bringing different things into the conference. It costs them a little bit more money to come in and provide that service and be part of this community. See, I'm nervous. I'm stuttering. It's okay. But anyways, I would love to welcome up to the stage from Valcom, Brandon Madsen, to just give you a real quick introduction.
Thanks, Troy. As Troy mentioned, my name is Brandon Madsen. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at Valcom, and we couldn't be more excited to be this year's Uber sponsor at SAINTCON. The SAINTCON Planning Committee has put together what we believe to be an absolutely outstanding week, and we think you're in for a real treat. We're very proud to be associated with SAINTCON. As a company based out of Salt Lake City, Utah, we know that puts us around some of the greatest minds in the country and in the industry. Looking around the audience this morning, I see a lot of friendly faces, but I know not everybody is exactly familiar with Valcom. But even though some of you may be familiar with us, you may not know that we're actually the largest IT solution provider based out of Salt Lake City, Utah, out of this great state. And part of that's because we've been around a long time. We actually have a big milestone coming up next year. We turn 40 years old. And we've actually got some really exciting stuff planned for next year. And we look forward to celebrating that with many of you. But we have some really great keynotes coming up. I don't want to get in the way. I do just want to mention a couple of things about Valcom. And it really starts with cybersecurity is really important to us. It's important to our economy, it's important to our state, and it's critical to our future. Everything we do with cybersecurity in mind. It's also really complex. This is just an example of some of our key partnerships in cybersecurity. I actually spent a little bit of time last week trying to find out just how many companies in the world actually have a cybersecurity offering or a product, and couldn't come up with that number. It's because cybersecurity is moving at light speed. It's just really hard to keep your arms around everything that's out there right now. But we can help navigate this. We have an awesome team of cybersecurity experts that work hand in hand with our clients. They do this by truly understanding the desired outcome of our clients, right? So what are the specific results or the expected results from the business leaders and the IT leaders of the organization? We place our clients at the center of our cybersecurity practice ecosystem. So that's the tools, the resources, the services, the partnerships, and the people all aligned to deliver that one single outcome. And then lastly, just keep it simple. Reality is cybersecurity is a race to stay one step ahead of those bad actors. This is a tremendous task. You're not in it alone. We have great people. We can help you get it done right. We can help you do it quickly and work with the budgets that you have. So appreciate the time here. Really excited for the content that's coming up. And we've got some space set up downstairs. We want to meet everybody. Come by and say hi. We've got some cool stuff to give away, and we'll see you then. Have a great week, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you. No, we do. We really thank our sponsors. There's many other ones to go down and explore. There's sponsorship booths. Please visit them. It makes life easier for everybody if we understand what solutions are available. Valcom's got plenty of great solutions. There's also some other vendors down there worth visiting as well. I want to transition to just a couple of housekeeping items before we jump right into keynotes. I wanted to talk just briefly about the SAINTCON badge, that cool thing you've got around your neck. Yes, it is an electronic badge. Yes, there should be a battery in the bag that it came with that you put it in there to turn it on. We did pre-populate 2 of them for you. We figured you could probably figure out the 3rd on your own. But because we didn't want them to somehow get turned on accidentally and drain the batteries and things. One thing to mention about the badge this year is that the badge is a contest. Okay, there is a contest component to it. As you can kind of tell, it's reminiscent of maybe something you've played before, maybe like a clue game kind of thing. What we're going to do is we're going to open up that badge contest starting at 1 o'clock this afternoon. And so you get to go explore and start figuring out and get a clue. That's really what it comes down to. So that's all I'm going to say for right now. There is a badge support booth downstairs in our expo space that you can go ask questions, or if the badge isn't working quite right, or whatever it is that you want to ask, they're the place to go and ask that this year. And we really appreciate the MK Factor folks, Mike and Katie, for designing, running, and doing all of this. As I was kind of mentioning before, it takes months of planning and things. Other than myself, and I don't say that to be conceited or anything at all, Mike and Katie put in the most time building that badge and doing what it is to get that thing around your necks. And so we really do appreciate them. Next thing, I wanted to just mention, if you have not joined the SAINTCON Discord server, this is where all of the back-of-channel communication happens. This is where our community lives and interacts, not just during the conference, but all year long. And so there's a vibrant, great community of security professionals, IT professionals, and others that hang out in that forum. Please join, and especially during the conference, interacting in that forum is probably going to enrich your experience. I also wanted to just mention that the expo doors downstairs, even though we might be done closer or around noon or noon 30-ish, inside of our keynote session. The expo space will not open until at least 1 o'clock today. We hope that you would respect that and don't try and find your way in there. The reason for that is we feel like the volunteers and the staff members should also be able to eat before they have to deal with 1,500 people coming in and want to get all in all those interesting things. And so please just hang out. We've got a couple of other things going on in the hallways to keep you distracted or interested while we're allowing some of those folks to do that. Speaking of food, food is part of SAINTCON. For many of you, we actually had to cut off our food ticket sales because there's a certain level at which the venue can reasonably do. And so some of you don't have these really cool food tickets. Wow, blast from the past, sorry. If you don't, there's a vibrant community of restaurants and other things in the local vicinity that you can go out and get food and other things. We also have an hour-and-a-half break for lunch, and so it gives you ample time to go out there and come back and still not miss a whole lot and such. Sodas and snacks. When you do see sodas around or snacks appear on a table, those are free for all. I mean, well, sort of. Like, don't just take 20 or anything else when you don't need them. But that's what they're for, is we're providing you snacks. That's not part of the food plan. I want to just let you know that soda is free at SAINTCON. Please don't stock up to take back to your hotel room and do an all-night Mountain Dew rush or something, because it does cost us money, and we do try and control those costs, but it has been a tradition at SAINTCON or the Utah Saint Conference for a long time to have a free flow of soda. But what you'll also find this year is several options of low or no sugar. So there you go. Last thing I wanted to mention, I kind of mentioned it for badges, but all other contests, Hackers Challenge, and so on, start at approximately 1 o'clock. If you don't get into that expo space until 1 o'clock, you're not missing out on anything. Some might start a little bit later, but as a general rule, most contests are starting after 1 o'clock. Last thing of housekeeping really quickly is I wanted to actually give a little bit of extra recognition to both SAINTCON, or sorry, yeah, for SAINTCON too, to Cisco, excuse me. They have donated, as part of their sponsorship with us, a lot of the network infrastructure that we're using to provide wireless in the entire venue. And we also want to thank Centricom for just casually saying the other day, hey, you know what, that 1 gig link that we've had in there for you guys for a long time, we want to just make it a 10 gig link. And so you got 10 gig of uplink in and out of this place this year. And all thanks to Centricom. And so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start here transitioning over into our keynotes. I'm not exactly sure how we agreed to do this, other than I'm going to walk off the stage. I'm going to show you one more slide and say, now to the keynotes. We are so thrilled to have them here, but I am not going to introduce them. I'm going to let somebody who is way better at introducing them introduce them.